Musk's growing influence has reached the U.S. Treasury Department, and reports suggest that Musk-led Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, has been given access to federal payment systems, which controls more than $6 trillion of cash flow annually. This exposes Musk and his DOGE team to the sensitive personal data of millions of Americans, as well as details of public contractors who compete directly with Musk's own businesses. The federal payment system handles data on Social Security numbers, tax refunds, Medicare benefits, federal salaries, public debt transactions, veterans benefits, among other sensitive data. Only a select few officials have clearance to access to this closely guarded information. The reports of DOGE gaining access to Treasury data comes following a standoff with a top Treasury official, David Labrick. The Secretary of Treasury had reportedly resisted allowing Musk's lieutenants into the department's payment system. He was reportedly put on leave and then suddenly retired last week after the dispute with Musk. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has failed to answer questions related to Musk's security clearance status so far. Take a listen.
From that Elon Musk is a special government employee.
Yes.
What kind of security clearance does he have?
I can confirm he's a special government employee. I can also confirm that he has abided by all applicable federal laws. As for his security clearance, I'm not sure, but I can check back with you.
Did he pass a background check, do you know?
I don't know about the security clearance, but I can check.
And do you know about anyone who's on his team that was at USAID this weekend or at Treasury Department, whether they also have security clearances?
I don't know, but I can check on that for you.
The move has drawn sharp criticism from Democrats who have raised concerns about political interference in the Treasury payment systems. Democrats argue disrupting the Treasury's payment systems can have dire consequences for global markets.
Let's be very clear. DOGE is not a real government agency. It has no authority to make spending decisions. It has no authority to shut programs down or ignore federal law. To give DOGE a chokehold on Treasury payments is outlandishly dangerous. It's like putting a tiger into a petting zoo and then hoping for the best. It's impossible to overstate that this is playing with fire.
The move has triggered protests outside the U.S. Office of Personnel Management in Washington, D.C. Protesters have raised their voices against Elon Musk and DOGE, with many calling it the biggest privacy and security breach in American history.
So I want everyone to bring a flag tomorrow morning.
There's a question of the Constitution, there's a question of democracy, and there's a...
We're here because at the Office of Personnel Management, a number of private servers were taken in by Elon Musk and his lackeys. They've stolen data from this building as well as from the Treasury Department. They have stolen the data of all U.S. taxpayers at the Treasury Department, and Trump has become a puppet of Elon Musk, which is really scary because nobody elected him, and now he has all this information. We don't know why he has it, but we need to get it back.
3 federal employee unions have filed a lawsuit against the Treasury Department and its head, Scott Bessent. Musk and his team have been accused of violating the Privacy Act and the Internal Revenue Code, which limit access to taxpayer and other personal information. The lawsuit calls for, quote, an immediate stop to the Treasury Department's ongoing violations of federal privacy laws. Amid the growing controversy, U.S. President Donald Trump has defended his allies, saying Musk can take decisions on his own. All right, take a listen.
Why is it important for Elon Musk to have access to the payment systems at Treasury?
Well, he's got access only to letting people go that he thinks are no good if we agree with him. And it's only if we agree with him.
All right, for more on this, we are now being joined on the broadcast from Washington, D.C. by Adele Nazarian, Senior Media Fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy. Good morning, Adele, and great to see you. So can you tell us how valid these charges are that the world's richest man, Elon Musk, is a national security threat to the United States?
I mean, Suzanne, it's great to be on with you again. You know, it's interesting. Under Barack Obama, Timothy Geithner had served as Treasury Secretary under him from 2009 to 2013. Geithner had spent, part of his early career in China. He's fluent in Mandarin. I speak Mandarin too. Well, during his tenure, he engaged frequently with Chinese officials. He addressed, key issues like currency manipulation. No issues there, no data breaches there. Under President George W. Bush from 2006 to 2009, there was Henry Hank Paulson. He was Treasury Secretary from that time. And before his government role, he was the CEO of Goldman Sachs, and he developed close relations with Chinese officials, visiting China over 70 times. His extensive engagement have also raised questions. I mean, look, the way you look at it, the way we can look at it is there's obviously potential positives of Elon Musk's access to the federal payment systems. You have the potential for more efficiency and speed, cost savings, security and innovation. And of course, you have potential downfalls. The concerns are disruptions, let's say, during the transition, which could delay, vital payments if he so wishes to, modernize outdated systems for faster transactions. Let's say in regard to him wanting to administer more AI-driven, automation to reduce fraud and waste. That's tremendous cost savings. On the downside of that, potentially, there's sudden financial shifts which could destabilize programs, highly unlikely also. Let's talk about the security and innovation, right? Security concerns. Potentially, what he can do is enhance cybersecurity with his fintech, expertise. The downside of that is a risk of data breaches or misuse of personal information. I highly doubt Elon Musk is going to compromise such sensitive information or allow for that to happen, considering, the amount of security that goes into his own enterprises, let alone the federal government. I mean, it's his biggest client. So why would he do that? Well, it was his biggest client before. So I think a lot of this has to do with attacking, Donald Trump and the people around him. And I just gave two examples, right, of people who served under Republican and Democratic administrations with questionable ties, if you want to talk about it, to China. And there were no such breaches or any reason for concern during either of their tenures under President Barack Obama and George W. Bush.
Yeah, well, the problem with Musk is he's on the wrong side of the aisle, hence the criticism. And also, it's fascinating to watch these officials come out and speak, and you just can't help but wonder, this is all about control. It just doesn't seem like it's concerns about security, ultimately. Anyway, another thing that critics are saying is that Musk has never been elected to office or been confirmed by the Senate. But again, he has access to all this money and he's making decisions behind the scene for President Donald Trump. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, case in point, look at President Donald Trump, arguably the most efficient president since, let's say, FDR, since Reagan. He's all about efficiency. And I think one of the biggest attributes that helped propel him to the presidency for the second time, I also think he actually won in 2020, but that's a whole different debate, but propelled him to the victory the second time, is that he operates the US government like a business, which it actually is, except that he's willing to talk about it openly. And I think that this concern over him is really just something that Elon Musk, having served as a elected official, you don't need to have been an elected official, honestly, at this point in time to serve in such capacity. What you have to have been is a successful entrepreneur. You have to have a very strong understanding of not only the US system, economic system, but also the global marketplace and the global economic system. And Elon Musk has interfaced with a lot of different governments throughout the course of his entrepreneurial expertise, and he understands the level of regulations, the way governments operate, the way that they require certain things to be done a certain way, government efficiency. And I think that as he is navigating and implementing DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, he is definitely surrounded by incredibly smart people who are even smarter than him when it comes to government accountability and the way things are done in a government setting legally. And he will have them guiding him as to how he can and can't, operate. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think him not holding an elected title in office before this is absolutely a non-starter, and it's not even an issue at all. Once again, as you mentioned, it is a political, unfortunately, insinuation based on the fact that he is with Donald Trump. And honestly, I think it's hilarious because again, I'm going to remind the audience, Donald Trump was a Democrat at the start of his, entry into supporting political campaigns and politics. And he's shifted to an independent, I believe, and now he's a Republican. So go figure.
Mm. Adele, it's always such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for putting all of this into perspective for us. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.